There is someone in your life right now who smiles at you, laughs with you, maybe even calls you a friend, and they are slowly, quietly, bleeding you dry. Not with violence, not with obvious cruelty, but with something far more dangerous, calculation. And the worst part, you've probably already felt it. You just didn't have the language to name it. Niccolò Machiavelli spent his entire life studying power. Not the kind written in books, but the kind that lives between people. In gestures, in silences, in the way someone positions themselves close to you right before they need something. He understood something that most people refuse to accept. The world is not divided into good people and bad people. It is divided into the aware and the unaware. And those who are unaware, they get used. Every single time. This is not a lesson about becoming cold. This is a lesson about becoming clear. The first sign is almost invisible, and that is exactly what makes it so effective. They only appear when they need something. Think carefully. When was the last time this person showed up just to show up? No request, no favor needed, no crisis of their own to unload. If you trace back every meaningful interaction and find that you, your time, your energy, or your resources were always somehow involved, that is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. Machiavelli warned that people will do whatever benefits them. The ones using you have simply decided that the most efficient version of that truth includes you being available and them never being accountable. The second sign is that they make you feel guilty for having limits. This is where it gets psychologically sharp. A person who genuinely cares about you will respect when you say no. But someone who sees you as a resource, they will treat your boundary like a personal attack. Suddenly you are selfish. Suddenly you are cold. Suddenly there is a version of you being described that sounds nothing like who you are, but sounds exactly like what they need you to believe, so you'll change your answer. Guilt is the oldest tool of manipulation. It costs nothing to deploy, and it works almost every time on people with a conscience. And they know it. The third sign is that the relationship only has one direction. You listen to their problems, but when you speak, they drift. You support their dreams, but when you need encouragement, the conversation somehow circles back to them. You show up when they call, but when you call, there is always a reason they can't. A real relationship breathes. It moves back and forth. What they are offering you is not a relationship. It is a performance of one, designed to keep you close enough to use, but never close enough to truly matter. The fourth sign is that they are always the victim, and you are always the solution. Every story they tell casts them as innocent, wronged, and blameless. The world is always doing something to them. People are always misunderstanding them. People are always misunderstanding them. Life is always unfair to them. And somehow, every single time, the resolution requires something from you. Your time, your money, your connections, your emotional labor. Machiavelli understood that victimhood, when weaponized, is one of the most powerful forces in human dynamics. Because good people, truly good people, are wired to help those who suffer. And the ones who know this will suffer loudly, strategically, and repeatedly. The fifth sign will make your stomach drop when you recognize it. They take credit when things go well and disappear when things go wrong. You helped them get that opportunity, but they never mentioned your name when they got it. You gave them advice that worked, but the story they tell has no room for you in it. And the moment there is failure or conflict or difficulty, you will find them suddenly absent, suddenly silent, suddenly very busy with things that have nothing to do with you. They want your investment without your ownership. They want the fruit without having watered the tree. And they have been doing it so smoothly that you probably thought it was normal. The sixth sign is that they know everything about your weaknesses and use them with surgical precision. This one is cold, but it is real. Over time, through your own openness and trust, you have told them what hurts you, what you are afraid of, what you want most, what you cannot bear to lose. And a person who uses you will store that information. Not maliciously in the way a villain does it in a movie, but quietly, instinctively, the way all self-interested people learn to push the buttons that get them what they want. When they need you to say yes, they will invoke exactly the fear or the desire that makes it hardest for you to say no. Machiavelli called this knowing your terrain. The terrain they know best is you. The seventh sign is that they are generous only when others are watching. Suddenly, in public, they are warm and complimentary. They talk about how much you mean to them. They praise you in rooms where it costs them nothing and gains them something. The image of being a good person, a loyal friend, a generous soul. But behind closed doors, in private, in the moments where kindness has no audience, the warmth evaporates. What remains is calculation. What you are witnessing in those public moments is not affection, it is reputation management, and you are a prop in it. The eighth sign is the one that closes the trap completely. When you finally start to pull away, they suddenly become everything you always needed them to be. They become attentive. They become generous. They say the right things. They show up. And for a moment, for a devastating, hopeful moment, you think, maybe I was wrong. Maybe they've changed. Maybe I was being too harsh. But here is what Machiavelli knew that most people learn too late. A leopard does not change its spots because it is cold outside. It changes its behavior because it has detected a threat to something it values. And what it values is not you. It is the access. The moment you are safely back within reach, the cycle begins again. The warmth fades. The pattern returns. Because it was never about becoming better. It was about keeping you. Here is the truth Machiavelli built his entire philosophy around. People are not primarily driven by love or loyalty. They are driven by interest. That is not a cynical idea. It is a clarifying one. Because once you understand it, you stop being confused by people who treat you well when they want something and poorly when they don't. You stop explaining their behavior with your feelings and start reading it for what it is. You are not too sensitive. You are not too demanding. You are not the problem for noticing. The most dangerous thing you can do is stay in a dynamic that slowly teaches you that your worth is measured by how much you can give, because eventually you start to believe it. And that is the real cost of being quietly used. Not just what they take from you, but what you slowly lose of yourself. Machiavelli said that the wise man does what is necessary, not what is comfortable, not what is kind, what is necessary. And sometimes, the most necessary thing you will ever do is look clearly at who is standing next to you and ask yourself honestly, are they here for me or are they here for what I provide? The answer will change everything. And the silence that follows that question is not emptiness. It is finally, painfully, powerfully, clarity.